For 3.2, we're simplifying expressions involving 0 and negative exponents. Okay, so we're going to have exponents that are either 0 or negative, and all we're doing is simplifying those. Okay, so, but we have a couple rules we need to follow. Okay, if we ever have a 0 exponent, so if there's ever a number or a variable raised to 0 power, the rule is that that one always equals 1. That's it. No matter what, it's always going to equal 1. Only the term that the 0 exponent is attached to. So an example of that I gave right here. If we have 3 raised to the 0 power, it equals 1. That's it.
What's that 0 sign? Oh,
it's at the 0 power.
Well, would that just be 3?
No, because the rule for 0 power is it always equals 1. Because the power is telling you how many times you're multiplying the number by itself, right? Right? Well, think about it. If we have 3 squared, what is that? 3 times?
3.
3, which equals?
So
9.
3 equals 1 then?
Yeah. So you don't even want to be just 3?
You do need to put the zeros.
No, because 3 to the power of 1 is 3.
Okay.
3 to the power of 0 is 0.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Tommy, can you explain that a little louder so everybody can hear?
Okay, so 3 to the power of 2 is 9.
Mm-hmm.
3 to the power of 1, or what was it?
Well, you said 3 to the power of 1. How many times are we multiplying 3?
1.
Once, right?
So
it would be 3, just 3. But when we have 3 to the power of 0, how many times are we multiplying 3?
0.
No times. So we are left with 1.
No, 0.
No, it's not.
3 times 0 is 0.
3 times, exactly. 3 times 0 is 0,
But
but we're not even multiplying anything, so it's just 1.
How is it 1?
Because it's 1 because when we're looking for, remember the multiplicative inverse?
Yes.
The reciprocals? We're trying to get them to multiply to what? 1. Makes sense? You get it? Okay, because when we're working with multiplication, we always want to start with 1 because anything times 1 is itself, correct? Okay, if it was addition and subtraction, we would be anything, what would you add to keep it itself? 3 plus what equals 3? 0, right? But 3 times what equals 3? 1. So when we're multiplying, 1 is kind of like our base where we want to start. So anything with a 0 power is going to equal 1 because we're not multiplying 3 by anything. So what if you had x to the 0 power? No, it wouldn't. It would be 1.
1. So basically all the zeros are going to be 1.
Yes. Anytime you have an exponent of 0, you do need to write the 0 exponent, but it will always equal 1. That's the rule. I'm going to show you. Okay, example 3. Negative 5 to the negative second power. This is the same as negative 5 to the negative second over what? Over 1. I think it's easiest for these negative exponents, if it's not already a fraction, make it a fraction. Okay, so who didn't pay their rent here?
The negative 5.
The negative 5 or just the regular 5? Just 5.
The negative 5.
What is the negative exponent attached to? Is it attached to the whole thing or is it just attached to the 5? It's only attached to the 5. So who has to move downstairs? Just the 5. So who's living upstairs? Negative 1. And who's living down? 5 squared. You guys know what 5 squared is, right? 25. So our answer would be negative 1 over 25. Okay? Okay? Any questions? What if I had this? Oh. What if I had that? Now, what is the negative 2 attached to? Is it attached to the positive 5 or is it attached to the parentheses? It's attached to the parentheses. So who didn't pay their rent this time? Everything inside the parentheses. So everything moves downstairs. And this becomes what? Who's living upstairs? Just a 1. And who's living downstairs now? Negative 5 to the positive 2. What's negative 5 in parentheses to the positive 2? Negative 5 times negative 5?
It's 25.
25. So in this case, your answer would be positive 25. You guys remember this? All the way back from Unit 1?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Okay, whenever we're working with exponents and there's negative coefficients, okay, these two things are different. Can anybody explain to me why they are different?
Yes.
Brandon, why are they different?
Because something inside, if there's, say the first one was 2 minus, or 2 negative 5 squared, or
Okay, so example 4 is a little bit trickier. 3ab to the 0. The whole thing equals 1?
1ab.
Hold on a second. Okay. What is the 0 attached to? The b. Is it attached to the 3a? No. So we still have 3 times a. b to the 0 is? 1. So 3 times a times 1, which gives me 3a.
Whoa.
Make sense? So example 5. Example 5. 1 over x to the negative 7. Who has a negative exponent here? X. So what happens? He has to move upstairs. Okay, so who's living upstairs now? X to the positive 7. Who's living downstairs? Just a 1, so we don't have to write it, so that's our answer. We just take the reciprocal.
If you do write it though, it's when you get...
Okay, example 6. X to the negative 5. X to the negative 7. Alright, this is the same as x to the negative 5, y to the negative 7 over what? Over 1. I would make it a fraction just right off the bat. Okay, who didn't pay their rent this month? X and Y. So both of them have to move, right? So both of them have to move downstairs. So who's living upstairs? Just a 1. Who's living downstairs? X to the 5th and Y to the 7th. And that's your answer. When you move it, it changes to positive.
The 1? The 1 changes?
No, the 1 stays up here because there's nothing up there, so it's just a 1.
How come the negative is
Okay, moving on. Example 7. 3x to the negative 2 over y. 3x to the negative 2 over y. Alright guys, who didn't pay their rent this month? Just the x, right? What about the 3?
It stays there.
It stays there. So we're just moving x to the negative 2 downstairs. So who's living upstairs?
Y.
Just a 3. Why would you move y? Does it have a negative exponent?
No.
No, so it gets to stay. Stays downstairs.
Oh, so
If you do not have a negative exponent, you stay. If you do have a negative exponent, you have to move. So who's living downstairs? Y, x squared. Now, we like to put things in alphabetical order, so this would actually be 3x squared y. Okay? They are the same, but No, it's not wrong, but we like to put these in alphabetical order. Okay? Okay.
Whoa.
6a to the negative 1, c to the negative 3, d to the 0. All right. So what are we going to do here? First thing I would do is I would make all my exponents positive. So who didn't pay their rent? Who has to move?
A1 and
A
negative 1.
and C. So both of those guys have to move downstairs. So who's living upstairs? 6.
Premium.
And who's living downstairs? A to the positive 1, C to the positive 3, and D to the 0. Okay, so let's simplify a little bit. 6 is still upstairs. A to the 1, C to the 3. D to the 0 is what? 1. So do we have to write it?
Yes.
Well, times 1, it's going to stay the same, right?
Yeah.
So this is our answer. D to the 0 turns into 1.
What time is it?
Okay?